Jaya Radha Madhura Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhura Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhura Kunda Vihari Jaya Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paracharya also Teta Satashi Shiva His Divine Grace Savaya Chananana Bhaktivedanta Goswami Marshall Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Ran Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Rabo Nityananda Shidway Nigadadha Shivasidi Gaur Bhakta Vrindagajaya Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shaimakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Ki Jai Jurnam Ki Jai Jagadada Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shrimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda. All glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Shri Krishna Vasudaya Guruvaya Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauranga Pujani Sasishram Bhakti Prasadi Devi. So, we are reading from the 7th canto, 13th chapter, text 30 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Dehadivir. 7:13:30.
13:30.
7:13:30. Right. Dehadivir. Daiva. Tantra. Atmana. Sukham. Ihata. Dukhatjayam. Shashya. Kriya. Moga. Krita. Dehadivir Daivatantrayar. Atmana Sukhamihata. Dukhatjayam Janishasya. Kriyamoga Krita. Dehadivir Daivatantrayar. Atmana Sukhamihata. Dukhatjayam Janishasya. Kriyamoga Krita. Dehadivir Daivatantrayar. Atmana Sukhamihata. Dukhatjayam Janishasya. Kriyamoga Krita.
Atmanah sukham ihatah. Dukhatyayam chanishasya. Kriyamogha krita. Dehadivir Daivatantraya. Atmanah sukhamihata. Dukhatayam chanisasya
Dukhatayam janishasya
Kriyamoga kritaha kritaha
Kriyamoga kritaha
Devadivir Devatantre
Devadivir
Atmana Shukam Ihataha
Atmana sukhamihata
Dukatyayam Chanishasya
Dukhatayam janishasya
Kriyamoga Krita Krita
Kriyamoga krita Devanivir
Atmanah sukham ihata
Atmana sukhamihata
Dukhatyayam chanishasya
Dukhatayam janishasya
Kriyamoga krita kritaha
Kriyamoga krita
Dehadivi devatantre
Devadivir
Atmanah sukham ihata
Atmana sukhamihata
Dukhatyayam chanishasya
Dukhatayam janishasya
Kriyamoga krita kritaha
Kriyamoga krita
Dehadivi devatantre
Devadivir
Atmana sukham ihataha
Atmana sukhamihata
Dukhatyayam chanishasya
Dukhatayam janishasya
Kriyamoga krita
Kriyamoga krita All right. Devadivir with the body, mind, ego, and intelligence.
With the body, mind, ego, and intelligence. Under the control of superior power.
Under the control of superior power.
Atmana, of the self. Sukham, happiness. Ihata, of the self. Sukham, happiness. Ihata, searching after. Dukkha atyayam, diminution of miserable conditions. Cha, also. Anicca, of the living entity, fully under the control of material nature. Kriya, plans and activities. Moga krita kritaha, become baffled again and again. Translation: the living entity tries to achieve happiness and rid himself of the causes of distress. But because the various bodies of the living entities are under the full control of material nature, all his plans of different bodies, one after another, are ultimately baffled. So you repeat: the living entity tries to achieve happiness and rid himself of the causes of distress. And because the various bodies of the living entities are under the full control of material nature, all his plans in different bodies, one after another, are ultimately baffled. So purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Because the materialist is in gross ignorance of how the laws of material nature act upon him as a result of his fruit of activity, he mistakenly plans to enjoy bodily comforts in the human form of life through such so-called economic development, through pious activities for elevation to the higher planetary systems, and in many other ways, but factually becomes a victim of the reactions of his fruitive activities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated as the Supersoul within the cores of the hearts of all living entities. As the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Sarvasya Chaham Radhisanadishto Mamat Smritir Jnanam Aponam Cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. The desires and activities of the living being are observed by the Supersoul, who is the Upadrashta, the overseer, and who orders material nature to fulfill the various desires of the living being. As clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita 18:61, Ishvara sarvabhutanam videsha arjuna tishtati abrahmayan sarvabhutani yantra rudani mayaya. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart, and as one desires, the Lord gives one various types of bodies, which are like machines. Riding on such machines, such a machine, the living entity wanders throughout the universe under the control of material nature and its modes. Thus, the living being is not at all free to act, but is fully under the control of material nature, which is fully under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As soon as a living entity is victimized by material desires to lord it over material nature, he is subjected to the control of material nature, which is supervised by the Supreme Soul. The result is that one again and again makes plans and is baffled, but as foolish as he is, he cannot see the cause of his bafflement. This cause is distinctly stated in Bhagavad Gita. Because one has not surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he must work under the control of material nature and its stringent laws, Daiva Yesha, Gunamayi, Mama Maya, Durachaya. That's Gita 7:14. The only means of becoming free from this entanglement is to surrender to the Supreme Lord. In the human form of life, the living entity must accept this instruction from the Supreme Person. Krishna says, the Supreme Person Krishna, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Shantanam Braja, Bhagavad Gita 18:66. Do not plan to achieve happiness and drive away distress. You will never be successful. Simply surrender unto me. Unfortunately, however, the living entity does not accept the Supreme Lord's clearly stated instructions from Bhagavad Gita, and thus he becomes a perpetual captive of the laws of material nature. Gita 3:9. If one does not act for the satisfaction of Krishna, who is known as Vishnu or Yajna, he must be entangled in the reactions of fruitive activities. These reactions are called papa and punya, sinful and pious. By pious activities, one is elevated to the higher planetary systems, and by impious activities, one is degraded to lower species of life, in which he is punished by the laws of nature. In the lower species of life, there is an evolutionary process, and when the term of the living entity's imprisonment or fulfillment in the lower species is finished, he is again offered a human form and given a chance to decide for himself which way he should plan. If he again misses the opportunity, he is again put into the cycle of birth and death, sometimes higher and sometimes lower, turning on the samsara chakra, the wheel of material existence. As a wheel sometimes goes up and sometimes goes down, the stringent laws of material nature make a living entity of material existence sometimes happy and sometimes distressed. How he suffers in the cycle of happiness and distress is described in the next verse. Okay, take the Sanskrit again. Behadivir Daivatantraya Atmana Sukham Ihata Dukhatyayam Chadishasya Kriyamoga Kutakutaha. So Omigna Tumiladesha, Gananjana Shlakaya, Chakshur Unmeditam Yena Tasmai Shivavedamam. It's actually amazing purport. So, just referring to the Sanskrit in the verse, it's an interesting expression, dukkha atiyam. So, the whole material existence is actually based upon eliminating misery. And the happiness that we think we experience is simply the diminution of the misery for some time. I'll give you an example. Let's say eating, you have hunger. And so basically, when you eat, it diminishes the hunger and you feel satisfied. Okay? And I mean, just like, okay, give an example of myself. Sometimes here they feed me so much that I'm eating just to please the devotees rather than I'm hungry. And then you get a good old stomachache because of that. Anyway, you put so much there when I would just rather put it all into my vitamins. One day you will do that for me.
Yes, sir.
You just put all the vitamins. Anyway, but there's really very little happiness. You know, the happiness is serving the Vaishnavas, so I'm sacrificing my own stomach to please Krishna and the Vaishnavas. So it's an interesting phenomena. You know, like this lust thing, you know, it's just like, it's a force that just like makes you unhappy, and then you have to go and try to satisfy it. And then you never Albertam Gana maintain again, you know, Nichavarana, Kamarupina, Kuntiya, Dusprema, Lena Cha. Anyway, or you have some possession. And the interesting thing about the material world is there's always that offer in the future. And you're planning all this. Everything will be nice when I build my new house. You know, like you have a new house. Everybody has a new house. Oh, it'll be ecstatic. Anyway, when we have programs, it's ecstatic. But, you know, what's the enjoyment? Anyway, so enjoyment, you got to work real hard. And just to make the money to pay for it and everything like that. So anyway, but the real point here, what I wanted to talk about is, why is Krishna so damn cruel to us? Because here it's mentioned that the material nature is actually the living entities under the control of the material nature. That's Anishasha, of the living entity fully under the control of material nature. And he's Moga Krita Kritaha. He's baffled again and again. So, but actually that material nature is under the direction of Krishna. Daivi Yeshu Gurumai Mama Maya Durachya. You know, it's Krishna's material. So, and Krishna has arranged it that way. Krishna has designed it that way for a purpose. This is called teleology, understanding the purpose. Because it's one thing to describe this world, which is right here in this particular verse and purport. But why did Krishna do this to us? He is so cruel. Why didn't he just give us some place where we can live and enjoy these material bodies like anything, no disease? Disease is designed by Krishna. It's not that it happened without Krishna's will. Everything is under the jurisdiction of Krishna, isn't it? So why did he do such a thing? Sometimes I wonder myself, why didn't he just give me a nice body, it doesn't get old, and all that other nice stuff? So the reason is, Krishna understands that no matter how he would design this world, you wouldn't be happy. He understands that. Because you're his part and parcel, and he wouldn't be happy in the material world, so you wouldn't be happy in the material world. And so Krishna specifically designs it to drive home the point. So as soon as possible, we can come to the point of saying, I surrender, Krishna, that's it. And especially with devotees, each time we try to make an attempt to be the controller, not only acquiring things, enjoying with the gross senses, but there's an attempt to control things, like me controlling disciples. It's a big attempt, a failure. So, abject failure. And even sometimes, sometimes you get a really heavy guru who can control his disciples, but then you see, as soon as he goes away, it's actually not real control.
Yeah.
Because when the guru goes away, the mice will play. So, we have all these desires and trying to do things, and ultimately it's just like, we're frustrated. So Krishna, that's the reason Krishna designed all these things. But because we can't enjoy outside of Krishna's association. And Prabhupada gave the example many times of the fish outside of the water. That even if you give the fish a nice house, like nobody does. Of course, we need a swimming pool too. Even to give the fish all those things. Well, the swimming pool might like. But it's not going to be happy. It's always going to be a struggle for existence. But there's some temporary happiness that gives us hope. So we have this temporary happiness, gives us hope. We get smashed again and again and again. And after a while we figure, if we keep doing the same thing and expect a different result, that's insanity. And then we just, out of frustration, because we're wandering, as Prabhupada describes in the purport, we're wandering throughout the material universe. Out of frustration, we throw our hands up and say, God, if we're pious, help me. And then what does Krishna do? Brahmanda Brahmate Kanda Bhagavan Jiva Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Bhakti. Then Krishna actually sends a guru to give us this Bhakti Bhakti. And then the seed of the creeper of devotion. And then we begin to have real happiness. Because Krishna consciousness gives us real happiness. I can say in my life, I never experienced happiness until I came to Krishna consciousness. I had everything. There was this temporary adrenaline rush when I was doing things. But ultimately, it wasn't like happiness. It was just like, wow, I'm going to get this. Just like right now I'm looking for a new computer. Just now coming, contacting devotees of Bhajan. You should just make sure that someone's there at the door. They're not allowed to sleep. They have to sit by the door. And then we're looking at every day at the DHL tracking app. When is it coming? Isn't it? Yeah. Especially nowadays when you can track something. You're constantly looking at it. When is it coming? It's stuck in customs. Oh, damn it. Because you're expecting that. But you don't really need it. It's interesting. You don't really need it. Just like this morning I had this realization as I was responding to my emails that I could do it through a voicemail. And it's a heck of a lot easier to do it that way. Wow. And then it continued. So Krishna arranged and my computer broke down so I could learn a new method to save Krishna's time. So, see Krishna behind everything. So anyway, there is this expectation, but it's unrealistic expectation because everyone's had that expectation since time immemorial. So really, that's why Krishna is designed to. So what do? We have become a kinchana gochara. That doesn't mean we become depressed, but we become hopeless about attaining any happiness in this world. And then whatever we have, we use it in Krishna's service, which is good. So there's no problem with having a big house. Didn't want to offend my the owner of my movie theater. The funny thing is, the mind works in such a weird way that, I saw a movie theater last night, and I was thinking, how could I do the same thing in my house? Maybe I should paint go to a room, paint the walls black, put little stars up there. I already have a projector. In my mind, I was planning these things. Then I will be happy.
Are you serious with it?
I'm joking.
What's that?
Are you serious or joking?
Half serious. Because the mind goes there. The mind actually goes there. I mean, I know better. So now we're differentiating between the mind and the intelligence. No, I have to say, it was fun. I mean, it's not that we were watching some Bollywood movie or anything last night. I mean, I still remember the Shakshi Gopal movie we saw last night. It was bliss. Full immersion, Shakshi Gopal, he's talking, he walks across India, and then you have these beautiful songs that are being sung in the middle of the movie, and the surround sound and everything. So, the mind will naturally go there. But anyone will naturally go there, And so then it starts planning out, all right, which room in the house would be good for that? Maybe I convince my disciple who is right next to the temple to have a movie room in our house. So we go. The mind actually goes there. When we see something, it's just like unlimited desires to exploit this material nature. And so obviously through intelligence, I'm saying, you rascal mind. Because you have to control the mind. I tell you, the mind will be thinking like that. There is some enjoyment. It's just, that's the nature of the beast, as they say. Just like, the scorpion stings. That story about the scorpion who wanted to cross the river and everything like that. And, basically, with a cow and everything like that. So he says to the cow, help me cross the river. And the scorpion, and the cow says, no, it's very dangerous. You're a scorpion. The scorpion says, no, do you think I'm going to sting you and drown? So they get to the other side of the river and he stings him. He says, what can I do? That's my habit. It's my nature. So we have to see that is the mind's nature, to just be hankering after different things in this material world. And the intelligence should tell us, cool it. You don't plan. Yeah, if Krishna sends something, it's great. But you have to start to endeavor for it. Go out and do some research, plan what type of paint to get, And as a guru, I could just order my disciples anyway. So it's actually easy. But then you have to think, is this what disciples are meant for? To make movie theaters for them? Hopefully no one's watching this. Anyways. So the point is, this particular philosophy has to be understood with intelligence. And when the mind goes there, no, you rein it back. No. Instead, spend your time reading Shastra, chanting Hare Krishna, and if Krishna sends something, it's great. I didn't mind the movie theater last night, it was great. It was ecstasy. We should be like, in this particular section of the Bhagavatam, there's a description as Avadhuta Brahman. And, it's interesting that in this particular section it describes he's actually a little fatty because he's been eating nicely. But that's because Krishna arranged for him to be in a particular situation where he can get food. But he said, sometimes I'm living in a palace, sometimes I'm living on the ground. Right at this particular juncture, he's living on the ground in this story. And so he just accepts, Krishna says opulence. One day I'm living in the palace, one day I'm living, in the jungle. Then we just accept it and don't over endeavor. We talked about this the other day. Prayasascha. Don't endeavor for things so much that your devotional service gets lost. And you can go for things if it comes easy. That's fine. You can use it in Krishna's service. Right now, for example, they're building another house for me. So, oh my God. That's what I'm thinking about the movie theater. Anyway, so, and the reason that's happening, you say, oh, good, you have so many houses, why do you want to build another house? A nice house already. Because when I was visiting one of my donors for the temple, he said to me, you have to have a better house. I said, no. I'm happy with what I have. And he said, no, you have to have a better house. And here's the money. You have to use the money for this. So I don't have an option. So if Krishna sends it, great. Use it in Krishna's service. And I designed it so I could watch movies all the time. No, I designed it so there's a big room, bigger than the room here, just to be able to talk to people, reach Krishna consciousness and everything like that. So anyway, so really, there's no problem with material opulence. There's no problem with being in charge or in control. It's a question, if it comes by its own course, with a little bit of endeavor, and you can use it in Krishna's service to bring people to Krishna consciousness, then that's why we build big temples, like in the previous class we were talking about. The sannyasi should not be enthusiastic about building temples. But not too big a temple. Install deities, but not too many deities. You understand? So many times people install a lot of deities in the temple for their own prestige. I open up this temple, and there's 4 sets of deities in the temple, but everything has to be based on the principle of helping others come to Krishna consciousness. So we imbibe this principle of compassion and helping others come to Krishna consciousness, we can engage everything in Krishna service. Within reason, but we have to be careful of our own motivation. And that requires, again, the proper use of intelligence to discriminate whether this is appropriate or not appropriate. So, anyway, so this is my understanding of this particular verse. See, Prabhupada's purport is very, very interesting and heavy. It's a heavy purport about trying to enjoy this material world. But we can enjoy the material world. Vishwam Shukayate, Vishwam Purna Shukayate, if we're actually engaging everything in Krishna's service. Then we can engage billions of dollars, gigantic houses. Just for you. So we engage gigantic houses in Krishna's service. If we're actually qualified. If we're not qualified, then Krishna will, if we try, Krishna will take it away. For those who are not ready to engage that aspect of material nature in Krishna's service, then Krishna takes it away. But if people are ready, but you have to be very careful. not to, like Prabhupada said, not to misspend a farthing. Always very careful, understanding everything belongs to Krishna. You may think some money is mine, but it's all Krishna's. Krishna's the proprietor, just like if deity's in the house. So just think, Krishna's the owner of the house. It's Krishna's house. That's why everybody wants to have the name of their house. Yeah. And so we give the name Hanuman house. It's not. But yeah, just think it's Gaurdikai's house, Radha Krishna's house, Sitaram Nivas, like that. Then it really frames the consciousness properly. So, any questions or comments about these things? Yes.
It's like Gurudev, just an analogy. So Krishna, we were with Krishna, and it is like he created this virtual reality game like he became the virtual reality game.
Yeah.
And we put the goggles on ourselves, and now the whole object of the game is to get out of the game.
Yeah. He created it because Krishna Bhava and Mukha, we turn our face away from Krishna. So he's giving us an opportunity to do something else other than just float around in the void or whatever. If we didn't want to be in the spiritual world, unless Krishna gave us an opportunity to learn that we belong in the spiritual world, what would he do with us? This is, some devotees describe the material world as the Krishna's garbage, the dumpster. But I wouldn't really describe it like that. Probably never described it like that. I would say it's Krishna's plan it's Krishna's arrangement to rectify us. It's a school. And as you go through the school, you have different grades. You have the animal species or plant species, you graduate. And finally you come to the human species, and as Prabhupada mentions here, if you don't graduate, you get sent back. You have to repeat the grades again. But it's actually worse than school. Because let's say I'm in 8th grade and I don't graduate, they'll just let me remain in 8th grade. But can you imagine in a school that you went to, you didn't graduate from 8th grade, you didn't pass your test, you go back to 1st grade again. That'd be traumatic, isn't it? But then Maya is so strong that even when you go back to 1st grade, you think this is life, just like you saw that other story last night. Those of you watched the movie? The other story that Kashinath, that other story that was so strong, he was sent into the body. It's so interesting story. I love that story. So, he was attached to his wealth, attached to his family, and so attached he became a dog. And then as a dog, he thought, I have to stick around because I'm protecting my family from thieves. Barking and everything like that. And then eventually he becomes a snake. And why are you hanging around? Because I'm protecting my family's fields from other animals and from people who are going to steal. And so at each juncture, he's given the opportunity to go back to home, back to God, by Narada Muni. And he says, no, I have too much things to do for my family. So he's so attached again and again, or like that story of Indra being attached, when he was cursed to become a pig. That, we got to learn our lesson after a while, like that. That see the temporary nature of this world, and when Krishna offers us the spiritual world, we have to be ready to hop on the airplane, isn't it? But how many of us? And anyway, so the point is that even if Krishna offered us the spiritual world, we wouldn't want to get on the plane. I mean, frankly, right now. Because everything centered on Krishna. What will we do there? Everyone's serving Krishna. The reason we left because we didn't want to be there. So have we actually changed our mentality yet? That we're actually ready just to do anything Krishna wants, not think about ourselves at all, not become prominent, Are we ready for that? I mean, frankly, most of us not. So even if Krishna sent us back here, not back here, back to the spiritual world, you think, I'm bored. This is torture. Because people have this idea of the spiritual world. It's the concept that people have of the spiritual world. It's like you got these, Kamadhenus, Kalpavrikshas. So wouldn't it be great to go back there? You get any flavor of ice cream from the Kamadhenus. You go to the Kalpavriksha, mangoes, bananas, whatever type of fruit you like. Yeah, I want to go to the spiritual world, Prabhu. But you just want to go to heaven. You don't want to go to the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, it's not about mangoes and papayas and chocolate ice cream. It's about whatever Krishna wants. That's what we want to do. It's not just like a fancier place in the material world where everything's perfect and people don't get old. Isn't it? But sometimes devotees have that concept. It's like that. Therefore, I want to go back to Godhead, where there's no birth, death, old age, and disease. It's true in the spiritual world there's no birth, death, old age, and disease. But that's not the point. If you want to go back to the spiritual world because there's no birth, death, old age, and disease, you're not going back. In other words, a devotee doesn't aspire after liberation, any of the types of liberation, Sayuja, Sarupya, Samipya, Sarshti, isn't it? Or Sadokya. These are different types of Vaishnava liberation. And not all. Sayuja is not. Sayuja is personal liberation. But a devotee doesn't aspire these things because even in this world, he's happy to be in this world serving Krishna. And then when you come to that point, you're fit to go back to the spiritual world. But as long as you want to get out of this world, you're not going to go back to the spiritual world. That's interesting, isn't it? As soon as you come to the point, Narayana Praksave Natatashna Viviti Swargama Bharga Apitul Swargama Bharga Natakeshu Apitul Yardarshana, that whether you go to heaven or hell or back to God, it's all the same. Then you're fit to go back to God at that point. But of course, in the beginning, we encourage people, like all these things are encouraging to people. Give up any hope of enjoying the material world, but that's not really going to take you back to God. What's going to take you back to God is the desire to please Krishna's senses. This is just like a wake-up call. This is ABC stuff that's being presented here in this verse. Yeah, it's frustrating every time you make an attempt, okay. And then you begin to chant, and after you begin to chant a little bit, then you think, wow, maybe I do like Krishna. But the beginning, tatar vedha bhajanti mam, you come to Krishna because you're in distress. I remember when I first joined the movement, I just prayed every night for Krishna to kill me. Some of you have heard this story before. Every night before I went to sleep, the prayers, dear God, like the Christians have their prayer. I pray the Lord, to something like that, save my soul. And if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. Ever heard that before? So I used to pay my obeisances as a brahmachari and say, Krishna, please kill me tonight and take me back to Godhead. Why? Because I just wanted, the brahmachari ashram was so austere. Cold shower. I mean, really, those austerities, we mentioned that before when we were talking about brahmachari life. The heavy austerities, living in a room with 30 other men, it's not pleasant to live in a room with 30 other men. You can't roll over or else you commit Vaishnava aparadha. You'll hit some good Vaishnava. It's like, and you wake up in the morning, there's a line for the bathroom. Get out of the shower! What are you doing in there? And then, Krishna, take me back to God. That's what the brahmachari ashram is meant for, to make things so intense. No, not really. It's meant to help you develop devotion to the spiritual master. But anyway, somehow or other, because I was frustrated with the material world when I came to the movement. I was also wanting knowledge. I said, now I've attained this knowledge. Krishna, kill me tonight. Take me back to God. I'm a coward boy. I was sure about that. But I realized it was just a desire to escape. And that's really not going to help us. It'll get us chanting in the beginning, like it got me chanting. Krishna, help me, save me. Ainanda Tanuja King Karam. Padidan Mam Vishame Babambudo. Kripaya Tavabanam Pankaja. But I left out the point of stitajas. Situate me at blood. Just the first part of the verse, you know. Krishna, I'm suffering in the material world. Save me. But forget about situating me as one of the spectators. I don't want to be a spectator. You know, devotees ask this question sometimes. How come Uddhava want to just be grass? Oh my God, that's kind of boring, isn't it? Because you're thinking of enjoying. Like I've mentioned many times before, sometimes disciples, before they get initiated, the lady would say, give me some really cool name, sexy name. You know, instead I always pick a name that drives me crazy. Like Boomy, or whatever, you know, some name like that has to do with mother or something like that. Your name is Mataji. So, yes. So the point is, understanding about the material world, like I'm getting frustrated, is the original impetus. As one chants, like Dhruva Maharaji was chanting, and he developed pure devotional service. You know, Krishna has all these tricks. So this material world is a trick to get us to the point of being frustrated, praying to him, and as we keep praying to him, chanting his name, the desire for liberation goes away. And it comes to the point of Mami Jamani Jamani Sri Bhavatan Bhakti. Anyway, so the material world is mercy. Maya means mercy. It doesn't only mean illusion. It means energy too. So Krishna's designed it. So it forces you to chant. Once you chant, again, just to reiterate, once you chant, you come to the point, wow, I just want to serve you and please you, Krishna. You know, you think about, like I talked about my relationship with Prabhupada, I talked about that yesterday. Just want to serve you and please you, Prabhupada. That's my whole life. When I have bhakti, that's bhakti. That's bhakti. That's all. Okay, any other questions? Yes.
Hi, Shankar. It's related to what Prabhu has asked. My question is why on the first place Krishna has given birth to so many souls, that souls have their desire or not desire? Like,
Well, first of all, Krishna hasn't given birth. We're eternally coexistent with Krishna.
so we are same like Krishna?
We're the same nature, we have independence. And because we have that independence, we're reflections of Krishna. Like Krishna is deciding, you know, for example, Krishna is the enjoyer. He's the controller. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Krishna is the enjoyer, Bhaktaram Jakatapasam Sarvalokam. So because Krishna has that nature, we naturally have a tendency to emulate that nature. Because our nature is the same as Krishna's. We're parts and parcels. Like a drop of water, the Prabhupada says, compared to the whole ocean, has the same qualities. So there's a potential for the soul to manifest Krishna's mentality too. You understand?
So we can come out of Krishna?
No, we're eternally coexistent. We're never created. The Jayate, Mriyate, Vakadachi, Nayam Bhutva Bhavita Bhani Bhuyaha, Ajo Nitya Shashvato Yam, Purana, Nanyate Hanyamane. Certainly we were residing within Lord Vishnu before the creation, but then we were outside during the last creation. That's only temporary, you know. Krishna gives us some like shelter inside his body. temporarily. But it's not that we were ever born. We're eternally coexistent with Krishna. Read the Shastras, so many verses, you know. For the soul is never birth to death, nor having once been, does he ever cease to be, is unborn, primeval means he's not slain with the body, it's like, I mean, not be withered by the wind, or burnt by the fire, or anything like that, Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter. So we're eternal. Eternal doesn't mean, and sometimes we came into existence and we continue to exist. That's like the Christian theology. That God, the Christians actually believe that we're, basically, we're the body. In other words, or we're a combination of the spirit. You know, there's different Christians who have different philosophies. A combination of body and spirit. But we're not. We're spirit. Spirit is eternal. We're Mame Vangsa Jiva Loke. Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Right? You know the first in Bhagavad Gita? Angsa, we're part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is never created, so we're never created. And so because we have the same nature as Krishna, then we can unfortunately imbibe some of Krishna's mentality and come to the material world.
Sorry, Gurudev. Then I have another silly question.
Yeah.
I'm really asking for forgiveness for this.
Yeah. No, it's all right.
So who gave the authority to Krishna to be the enjoyer?
Okay, let's go to the first verse in the Brahma Samhita. Anadir Adir Govinda. That Krishna is the cause of all causes. See, I can understand what you're thinking, because everything in this material world has some cause, right? Everything that happens is a causal chain is called, and you can go back. I mean, even with ourselves, you know, why was I born in a particular family? Because of my karma. Because the karma came because I did this in my last life. I was born in that last life because of my karma, and then the life before. So it's just like a chain of events. So, but Krishna is beyond cause and effect. Sarva Karana Karanam. That's first word in the Brahma. It's inconceivable, because everything we conceived, we know in this world, has a cause. Our whole experience has a cause. So we accept that basically on faith, because it's beyond our experiential jurisdiction, as Prabhupada would say, or I think it's Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati, those words. It's beyond, I haven't experienced something that has no cause. Yeah, my phone was created, there's a cause to it. My watch, electronic stuff. Anyway, my body, just like I had parents, right? You can't say that I just came into being, one day. I just appeared. The Big Bang, so. Like you have the universe. They talk about the Big Bang out of nothing. Everything just came. But actually, there was something before, and that was Krishna, of course, in the form of Lord Vishnu. So, Krishna is the cause of all causes. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchinanda Vigraha Anadir. He has no beginning, Anadir. Adir. Govinda. Sarva Karna Karna.
That really scares.
Scary?
Yeah.
Why scary?
Because
you can't understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary when we can't understand anything. But I've come to the conclusion after, so many years of Christian conscious movement that I will never fully understand Krishna.
Sorry,
There's certain things that are completely achincha, inconceivable.
It's still,
don't try to conceive it, because you won't be able to.
Yeah.
We're small. I mean, even Krishna is so great that if he tries to explain his own greatness in the form of Ananta Shesh, he never comes to an end. So never, No one ever gave Krishna the authority. Krishna, you could now be independent. You're old enough to take care of yourself,
So he was the powerful soul.
He is the supreme soul.
Supreme. Super.
Krishna is the supreme soul. And no one gave him the power. Because he's beyond time. Here's another way to understand it. We think in terms of time. But the spiritual world is beyond time. Eternity is beyond time. Just like when I studied mathematics in school. Oh, gotta get to work. Hopefully someone's at your house watching the door.
10 o'clock. Oh, mine.
Oh, that's
Keep it.
I have a quick question.
Anyway, so we're talking about the time factor, beyond time and beyond space. What does that mean? I don't know what it means. I mean, theoretically, I understand the words. But if God is not beyond time and space, he's not God. That's Krishna. And that's the soul too. And so because just like you inherit your parents' characteristics. I just look, my father lost all of his hairs. I got rid of it voluntarily. I just, sometimes, I look at myself in the mirror and say, oh my God, I'm looking at my father. As a devotee. As if my father's become a devotee. But, it's not a perfect reflection, obviously. But because of genetics, then we have the characteristics of our parents. Similar characteristics. And so, myself, my father was a workaholic. And I have that tendency too, to be a workaholic. And, just wake up early in the morning. So, probably a good thing. So with Krishna, he's our father. Aham bija. Aham bija pratapita. I'm the seed-giving father of everyone. So we got the same genes, the same spiritual, there's a way to say that. The same spiritual nature genes as Krishna. So Krishna wants to enjoy. So you also want to enjoy, of course now, female body, if you look at a man, I'm not saying you do this, you say, he can give me enjoyment. But Krishna's also thinking like that. When he looks at us, he's thinking, I want to enjoy with him, and I want him to enjoy. But his looking at us is one of love, because it's not perverted like the interactions in this world. Krishna's thinking, I want to enjoy. Why does Krishna come to the material world and take the form of Lord Nrsimhadev? For his own enjoyment. He could have had it done by his energies, Hiranyakashipu was no problem for Krishna. He's God, it's just like, all right, demon, die, demon. Doesn't need a gun, doesn't need weapons, doesn't need anything. Krishna doesn't need the Sudarshan Chakra. He doesn't need Garuda. One time, Garuda said to Krishna, you really need me. Without me, you ain't going anywhere, it's like United Airlines. But anyway, Krishna has a frequent flyer card. Garuda Airlines, I know it's Indonesia anyway. So Krishna, oh really? He puts his, his arm on Garuda and says, can you take me somewhere? And Garuda gets crushed. And Garuda's so proud because previously even Indra tried to fire a thunderbolt and all he did was drop one feather. Isn't that?
Yes.
That's why he's called Suparna. So really that's why we have these desires. because we're part and parcel of Krishna. You know, we see something, we want to enjoy it. Krishna sees something, he wants to enjoy it too. But he doesn't enjoy matter. It's not that Krishna looks at my mobile phone. I'd like to have that too. Pixel 10 XL. So then we go to the deities, we, what would Krishna do with a mobile phone? He's omniscient. He's in everyone's heart. He can already contact everybody instantaneously. But we have that desire because we want to be like Krishna. You want to be like your father. You want to be like your mother. It's like that. Of course, that's perverted reflection of this world. But we actually, we want to enjoy this because Krishna wants to enjoy. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And why does Krishna want to enjoy it? That's his nature. Your question, why is it his nature? Because it's his nature. There's no explanation. It's his nature. Why do we want to enjoy it? Because we're reflection. There's a reason for that. Because we're reflection of Krishna. We're little Krishnas. Yeah, we're little Krishnas. You take Krishna and shrink him down to the size, and when that doesn't, you get us. We want to be the proprietor because Krishna says, Bhaktaram Jakatapasam Sarvaloka Suvidam Sarvabhutanam Ketvam Mam Shanti. Well, leave out the last part. But anyway, Krishna says, I'm the enjoyer, the bogey. Krishna's a bogey. If you say to a devotee, you're a real bogey, it's an insult. You're not a yogi, you're a bogey. But Krishna says, I'm a bogey. Same word, Bhaktaram Jakatapasa. Of all sacrifices, Sarva Loka Maheshwara. I'm the Lord of all worlds. I didn't just want $1 trillion like Elon Musk. I want everything. And you see, people can take it to such extent, like Hiranyakashipu took it to that extent. I'm the Lord of the universe. That's because he's imitating Krishna. You understand?
Yeah.
He didn't want to be with Krishna. And that's why we will not be happy in the spiritual world at this point. Because we want to be Krishna. What about me, Krishna? Why are you dancing with Radharani? Paying so much attention with her. Dance with me instead. Man, you want to be a gopi because you want Krishna to pay attention to you, like Nirvana. Is that the wrong reason? We want Krishna to be happy associated with Srimati Radharani. And even Chandravali, who appears to have that different mood, she's doing it to make Krishna happy and Radharani happy so they can have this nice angry exchange and bond. It's all her motivation. Chandravali's motivation is to give pleasure to Radha and Krishna. It's not, there's no self-centeredness in the spiritual world. It's all, I want to please Krishna, I want to please Krishna. And that's it. No other aspect of consciousness. That's why we don't belong there right now. Until we're ready to go.
Mirabai was in Chandravali's party.
That's what people say. Maybe. But Prabhupada didn't, Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said she had a different mood than Gaudiya Vaishnavas did. I mean, I'd rather be in Radharani's party.
That's the nature.
Nature, yeah.
So Gurudev, just one question. So the desire at the time of death is the key, and I'm just thinking.
But the desire simply has to be to please Krishna.
Please.
Not that, I just want to take another birth as a pharmacist.
So that desire will have to be practiced throughout the life for it to manifest in the end.
It's not artificial. It's not an artificial imposition of the mind. It's a question of getting the bhakti by serving the Vaishnavas. And the more we serve the Vaishnavas, the more we get that bhakti, and not just the Guru. And as the more we, let's say, have partisan dealings with the Vaishnavas, the less we're going to have that desire. We have to come to the point of basically loving all the Vaishnavas and actually all living entities ultimately. You know, yastu sarvani bhuting atmanevanu pashati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tatodra viya gupshate. And before we can actually, you know, if we're actually, you know, partisan, you know, whatever, political, different parties, I can see this all the time in, well, in ISKCON, that, you know, people have different parties, they have guru parties, birthday parties. No. You know, there's party spirit. And they'll never get bhakti with that spirit. You know, I'm better, my guru's better, or my project is more important than your project. You know, we'll never get Krishna's mercy unless we come to the point of this loving, like Krishna. In other words, if you want to manifest love for Krishna, you have to love everyone the way that Krishna loves everybody.
So Gurudev, that last sentence that Krishna said, right, at the end of your life, if you remember me, you will come unto me. So that's
but
just
remembering him with devotion.
Devotion. That's just an hope, right? Because I'm thinking about this material. It's so difficult. Like if a lion comes in front of me, I cannot love him. I mean, if I start seeing Krishna, probably that's when. But he will eat me, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to think because
you should be like a cow bahula. You know the story? You don't know the story? Once upon a time, there's a whole forest in Vrindavan called Bahulavan after her. So anyway, once upon a time, there was a cow and a tiger came. They don't have lions in Vrindavan. They don't have tigers anymore. But in Bengal, they have tigers. These big tigers are as big as horses almost. Bengali tigers. So anyway, so the tiger comes and says, you know, Shurira Vijaya. And the cow is in anxiety, not because it's going to get eaten, but it hasn't fed its calf. So it says to the tiger, yes, I understand, I'm your food. You know, and those, those Bhagavatam verses, in quotes, I'm your food, I agree, but I want to go feed my calf. Do I have your permission? I promise I will come right back. And so what happens is the tiger gets a soft heart and says, all right, feed your calf, come back. And so the cow comes back and Krishna saves them all after that. Anyway, it's a famous story in Vrindavan. So there you find the cow actually respecting the tiger. Now, it doesn't mean we stick our head in a tiger's mouth.
even it is heard that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to dance with that.
Dance, yeah.
Oh my God.
We can't do that. I'm not going to try.
it's-
I'm not going to try to do that.
No,
But-
that means we are sure to come back. We are not going to go back to like you just mentioned, right? Going back to Godhead is just a hope. You have to bring it into your daily
Reality, yeah.
practice, right?
It's not simply, I want to go back to God. It's what we really want is just get out of the material world and enjoy a fancier form of the material world. That's what the point I was making. Like the Christian conception, go to heaven. What's the conception of the Christians in heaven? It's just like, a few angels floating around playing harps or something like that. And, everything's nice. You get to go there with, your mother, your father, your pet dog and everything like that. I mean, the Mormons actually say that. That when you go to heaven, the Mormons, they actually talk about that. Then you'll see your father, your mother, your grandparents. But we say no. All this father, mother, grandparents, everything is just temporary, just this lifetime. Just like, that story of, Tishakatu, I had so many fathers, so many mothers, who are you, Can you imagine if, let's say if someone in your family passed away, then he comes back to life, and he says, who are you? Which lifetime were you my mother? That'd be heart-wrenching, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
A little Krishna came in. Or your mother came back, from
Yeah.
which lifetime. So, yeah.
So
But basically, when we to think of Krishna means to think of Krishna in devotion.
devotion. So at the time of death, just like
I mean, if you
it's
think I hate
starting-
you, Krishna, you can also think like that. You get liberated. But anyway, so
So at the time of death, our the desire should be not to go back to God or to serve. Like
our desire, if we want to, want to go back there, you're not going back to God. But anyway, so
yeah, okay. That's,
our desire. The best desire to have at the time of death is Krishna, whatever you want, I'm willing to do it. Then Krishna may decide to send you back to God. Or Krishna may decide to send you somewhere to preach. If you have that desire, Krishna thinks, wow, this guy's trained up. I need him in my army. And then you're happy. That's back to Godhead. The point is you never left the spiritual world.
yeah.
And if you have the right consciousness, you're in the spiritual world.
Right now.
Right now. You're not the body.
Yeah.
You didn't leave the spiritual world. It's a question, that's called Jivan Mukta. You have the body, but you're also in the spiritual world. You're liberated in Krishna consciousness. The Prabhupada was like that. Okay, it's time for Prashadam, the real source of happiness.
So Gurudev, it's good to say that you should not have desire. Similar to what you mentioned, you are.
I don't say you shouldn't have desires.
Have desire.
I say you should have the desire to give Krishna pleasure. Then automatically all your desires become centered on that. In the meantime, just to summarize, we have our intelligence. And if our intelligence sees the mind acting in such a way to have a desire that will take us away from Krishna, then you control that. You don't give in to it. There's unlimited desires that come into our mind. There's unlimited things that, we could want. I would new car, I'm thinking, sometimes I think, I have a Tesla, it's only it's at 2021.
25 years.
I need another one with an updated computer and it,
Model X.
Model X I don't want. But the mind comes and all these stupid desires come. Then you realize, what good does it do you? It doesn't help you serve Krishna. All right, good. If it helps me serve Krishna, great, let's try it. But if it doesn't make a difference in my service to Krishna, what for? So what I'm saying is talking about the differentiation between the mind and the intelligence. Because the intelligence is always thinking about Krishna, what will please Krishna? And I try to do that. What will please Prabhupada, what will please Krishna? And the mind is always thinking, what will please me? So until you become completely pure, then, Shuddha Havi Manat Kavi Hamahe Rahu Shri Vrindavan, when your subtle body is dissolved, material subtle body is dissolved, then your mind is in Vrindavan. And you're always thinking of pleasing, like Prabhupada. But it's important to be honest to say, that my mind doesn't always think like that. But my intelligence, I have the mind under control. So I don't give into it. That's the point. That was the point I'm making. And then, and I understand that I'm not pure right. You have to be honest. I'm not pure right now. I'm not going to go back to God with the present frame of consciousness I have. And I'm just praying to Krishna and somehow or other chanting Hare Krishna with the intention of somehow or other becoming more purified. Mayanam Galo Lasrudarya, Vadanam Gadgara Vidya Gira, Pulaka Nishitam, Babu Kada, Tabanama Grahane Bhavishiti. When will that day come when I chant your holy name? And Pulaka, the hair and the body stand on end and everything like that. I know I'm not at that stage. Because honestly, when we chant Hare Krishna, does our hair, do tears come from the eyes? No, we're just thinking, why is my mind wandering so much? Or when am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? Or when is that computer coming from DHL? We're going to check my phone again. Is that, we're chatting, we think, okay, after this round, while we're chanting, we're thinking, after this round, I'm going to do this. While we're chanting. But that's not pure chatting. Pure chatting means you forget that there's something out after the round. You still do it after the round's finished, but it's not that you're meditating on the more you're chanting. All right, on that happy note, discouraging everybody.